Hello, and in this demonstration we're going to look at data management. That's loading data and what we call the data source record and the benefits of that. So here I'm logged into a division called Selling People and some old CRM campaigns, and I'm going to load in some old leads. We've got a list of contacts here and we can see that we've got none showing there, and I'm going to go to import contacts. So what I'm going to do here is import data from a data file, and I'll select that data file. And I'm going to do here on registrations, and I select that file, and then this time I'm going to create new records that we could overwrite and add additional ones, and I can have pre-saved definitions, but I'm just going to start off with a blank definition. This takes us to the second load screen. We can see that it's recognized the fields and they look correct, and then I'm going to click on import properties, and this is something that's unique to LAMP here, and I can define various things like the data source company. Important if you're buying data from list providers. In this case it's our own data. And I think I've got 203 records in this file, and that just helps me understand where this data's come from in the future, and I'll talk about that. And this is old CRM leads. It's not for any particular sector, industry or job function. So I'm just going to put various here. Oops, I can spell it correctly. Okay. Now this is related to the project old CRM, as we can see here, and we could relate it to a specific campaign, but I'll just leave that blank for now. As these are old leads, I'm going to call them a grade 6 lead. You can use any name you want, but it's just saying they're different to the normal starting point, which is new or unqualified. They've also got a hard opt-in. The relationship overall is that they're a lead. The lead source was a data load, and the ownership is SP, which is short for Selling People, and then there's some defaults there, date format, in actual fact it's like that, and I want this to be sterling. And that's the basics, and then we say, right, it's not data will also be read in easily from Outlook and Salesforce, but we'll move on to the next screen. On this screen we see a mapping. I'm going to show the default value as well, and we map the fields. So here I'm going to choose, so first name of the file in LAMP is going to become first name, last name is going to become last name. Campaign ID we're not going to match, we're going to match the campaign to the campaign name. The position is actually going to be job title. The company is going to be company name. Phone number is telephone. Mobile is mobile, and so on. Now, this is the definitions from the previous screen that we've seen there, and we move on down, and that looks okay to me, so we'll go next. Do we want to avoid duplicates? Not in this case because it's new data, and let's go give it a name so we can recall this again in the future if we don't want to have to go through that setup process. So if you had a standard file that you're going to constantly load data up from another system or a data provider, then this can be very useful. The system now loads up the data. I actually missed out a screen there, and I've just gone to the contacts and the data we can now see loaded in. So if I just pick a person here, such as Kristen Thomas, we can now see the details for this contact record. A couple of things to notice about this is we can see the data here is loaded for the division Selling People, which corresponds to the division we selected when we loaded the data. And if we look down here as well, that's also corresponding down there, that it tells us the division here is Selling People. But interesting enough, we've also got what we call a data source record, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up in a new tab. And this will now show us the data source record. So this is an audit, and it's a record that has been created to show us this data load, and you'll recognize most of these fields that we typed in on that second data load screen. So there's the data file, and it is a record. We also see the particular contacts that have been loaded up by this process. And if we now go and look at the data sources themselves, you'll notice that we have a whole series of data source records, and each one of these corresponds to a data load into the system. So it's really allowing us to keep control of, understand what we've got, and keep track of the data in the system. If I go back to the contact record, whilst we've also got the data source record that we can link through to, we've also got, against every contact, a lead source tab. And again, this tells us the same information. So whenever we look at a particular contact record, we can see where and when that came from. So this was loaded up on the 25th of the 2nd by Julian Poulter for this company here. Now what's great about this as well is that we have this divisional segmentation. So if I now change to lamp, I wouldn't, and came to contacts, I wouldn't see this record because it exists for selling people. However, I can, by going down to division down here, add in a new division so that this same, so if I go back to edit mode and then choose a different division and select, for instance, marketing automation people, we'll see this is now associated here. So this same record, Kristen Thomas, is associated with 3 different divisions. So this really can reduce data duplication, and we can handle multiple relationships for a company, a division, a brand, an office, whatever it might be, with the same prospect, and have different subscription statuses, different gradings, different lead sources, relationships, etc., etc. And this will really help us manage the data in our CRM system. And that concludes our view of data management for now. Thank you.